New York City, a 61-year-old man was assaulted behind the counter of the bodega in which he worked. The man defended himself with a knife, killing the assailant, and was subsequently arrested and charged with murder. At what point does self-defense become murder? Next with Joe.
But first, a lot of companies are so frustrated with their websites. It looks old, it's out of date, it's not getting customers. Well, Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phones ring. Getting started is real easy. Call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100, and they will fix your website.
Or your wagon, whichever comes first.
The wagon.
So Joe wrote a fantastic article, Self-Defense in New York City. Joe, what'd you learn?
Did you go back for research?
Go back for research?
Sure.
No,
Back to New York?
Never go to New York City. but I could research from out here. So, no, it's interesting. Self-defense in the Big Apple. I came across this, actually. I believe I saw this on John Correa's active self-protection site. I think I was watching the video there, and then I kind of looked it up and went a little bit further with it. And again, is there anybody that hasn't heard of John Correa? If there's anybody out there listening, if you have not looked at John Correa's active self-protection, I recommend, like all my students, look at that. It's some of the best education you can get out there in terms of defense and concealed carry and that kind of stuff. And what John does, if you're not familiar with it, is John will show you an actual crime video. He posts one every day, and he breaks them down. He analyzes them, and it's just very educational. He does a great job with it. And I was taking a look on there because I try to look at John's thing every day, and he had this video on there of this man who was working behind the counter in this bodega, I guess is what they called them back there. And he's back there, and what happens is a man comes around from behind the counter, confronts him, shoves him down on the floor, basically, or down into a chair, and is standing over him, screaming at him. And the assailant, I guess, grabs this clerk by the shoulders, drags him up, and is dragging him out from behind the counter. And the clerk grabs a knife that he had behind the counter, stabs the guy to defend himself, and ends up killing him. And they do that, and the clerk is charged with murder for this. So it's interesting. If you take a look at what went on, the man, the clerk, they said was a 61-year-old man, does not look like a very athletic, active kind of 61-year-old. Looks more like a 71-year-old man. But what started all this, apparently, is a woman came in there and wanted to buy a bag of chips for her 10-year-old daughter. And she was using an EBT card, which apparently did not have enough money on it to buy a bag of chips. So the clerk turned her away. Her reaction to that was to go home, tell her boyfriend about this, and then it was the boyfriend that came back and assaulted the clerk. So it's interesting because a lot of people that saw this were saying that, no, that was self-defense. The guy was defending himself. Yet the district attorney in New York disagreed and charged the man with murder. And it was interesting. In the beginning, they actually set a really high bail. I want to say it was $1 million, or it was over $1 million.
500.
Was it 500,000? I thought it was higher than that. And there was, I guess, a big public outcry.
Well, they put him in Rikers Island just to.
Well, he did spend a week in Rikers.
Yeah, just to make sure he knew where he was.
And it's interesting because they said the outcry was from both sides of the aisle, is how they described it. So it was, it was Democrats and Republicans.
And it was the
yelling
Bodega
about this.
Association.
Yes, the Bodega Association as well.
I had no idea, like 60, 70 years.
Well, it's interesting because if you look at John's analysis, and I guess John had posted, got a lot of negative feedback. A lot of people disagree with John. But what he was saying was, okay, this was the clerk, ended up using deadly force to defend himself. And, something we teach with students with deadly force is you can only offer the level of force that's being offered to you. So if you look at what happens in there, the assailant violently shoving this man down into the chair, is not really likely to cause great bodily injury or death. So it doesn't elevate, I guess, or rise to the level of being able to use deadly force as a response. Same thing when when the assailant grabs the clerk, picks him up by the shoulders and is dragging him out. Those two things, if you look at them individually, I guess don't really warrant deadly force as a response. What I would look at, though, is something we tell students when we talk about the concealed carry, is you have to look at, in self-defense things, you look at the totality of the circumstances, basically, the whole big picture. And yes, those two actions by themselves probably don't warrant a deadly force type response. But if you think about, from the clerk's position, okay, he's just been insulted or assaulted by a much younger, much stronger man. He's being dragged out from behind the counter. It's reasonable for this clerk to assume
turn the volume up to hear what this guy's screaming at him.
Well, and that's the other thing too. The guy is yelling at him the whole time.
Right.
And it's reasonable, you would think, for the clerk to assume that, okay, I'm being dragged out of here for this assault to continue. The clerk may have been thinking, okay, I've got access to this knife back here. If I get dragged out away from the knife, I'll have no weapon, and there's no way I'm going to be able to fight this much stronger, much younger person. So, looking at the totality of it, there may be a reasonable self-defense argument there. It'll be interesting to see, because as far as I know, this clerk is not a famous movie star, so this will probably go through the courts, and we'll probably get to hear what the jury has to say about this. But I thought it was a very interesting case to talk about.
And the girlfriend stabbed
That was the other thing that was going on too. Again, the totality of the circumstances.
So there's more than one person attacking this gentleman.
Once this fight started, once he started stabbing his assailant, apparently the girlfriend pulled out a knife and stabbed him at least once in the arm.
The shoulder.
What they said? Well, they said shoulder. If you look at the video, he's looking at a cut on his arm. Mm-hmm. So he was, again, attacked by a second person too. So it'll be interesting to see how that argument goes in terms of self-defense. With that, did you? Oh,
that's crazy. The whole situation is crazy, and I think that one, get pepper spray. Everybody get pepper spray. Don't think of, it's not one or the other. I'm going to carry a gun or pepper spray.
Yeah, and I think John points that out in his analysis too. That would have been the perfect opportunity for the use of pepper spray. Yeah. And in New York, actually, in New York City, for some reason, pepper spray is not banned. It's heavily restricted, but the average person can buy pepper spray. You just have to go through a registration kind of process. You have to buy it from somebody that's authorized to sell it, and they make you go through a bunch of hoops.
The other thing is,
but you can get it.
I can't believe, what is going on that somebody attacked this guy from, for that. You didn't have enough money to buy some potato chips. This guy wouldn't give you potato chips, so you go behind and physically assault this guy. Something is, we don't have, I don't think either, and none of us have the degree to truly analyze what the heck's going on, and we don't have the enough time to really cover it, but oh my gosh.
Well, and I mentioned that in the article too. As tragic as this is, it's indicative of what's happening across the country in cities with the increase in violent crime.
And there's no consequence.
Well, no, but if you look at what happened, this woman, was turned down because her EBT card didn't have enough funds for a bag of chips. Her reaction to that is to go home, get her boyfriend, send the boyfriend back to beat up the clerk.
Yeah.
Great example, great modeling for the 10-year-old girl. And that's what's contributing to this stuff.
It's really, truly sad.
All right.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.